due to connection issues. Are we good? It says we're live. I think we're good. Howdy, howdy, everybody. Dr. Marqelle coming at you live from within the walls of Healing Touch Chiropractic here in West Fargo. You are catching our Encore presentation of Why Can't My Kids Stay Healthy? Am I doing something wrong? So thank you so much for tuning in tonight. This is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. So I do not have any kiddos of my own, unless you count the dog Walter, but no kiddos of my own. And I didn't suffer any chronic childhood diseases or conditions growing up. But the fact of the matter is that kids today are getting sicker, not healthier. We have a very reactive sick care system, not a healthcare system. So some scary stats for you. 1 in 5 kids today, asthma. 1 in 10, allergies. 1 in 5, mental health disorder. 1 in 9, diagnosed with ADHD. 1 in 45, autism. 94% of kids have had at least one ear infection by the time they reach age 3. What gives? America has the best doctors, the best hospitals, the best medicine, the best of the best, and yet we are at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to overall health, okay? Those numbers don't lie, people. We are getting sicker, and it is not just America. It is not just cold and flu season. When we were in school, there was maybe one kid who had asthma, or one kid who had allergies, or one kid who had behaviors, one kid who had attention concerns. When I was in elementary school, hello, thanks for tuning in, Lisa and Willow, and everybody else. Sorry, you're not chopped liver. Ha. Where was I at? Oh, when I was in elementary school, out of the 300 kids, there was one child who had autism. In recent years, those numbers for childhood conditions, for diseases, have exploded, and we do not know why. We do not know what to do about it. Many of us take a backwards approach to health. We look at the effects, the signs, and the symptoms, and not at the real causes, the real problem. But really, it's when we look at what's wrong that the solution, what to do, becomes simple. So we are going to be talking about what's really going on with our kids. Ooh, and Abby's throwing up just I don't really want to call it a fun fact because it's not a fun fact by any means, but we are raising the first generation of kids that are not anticipated to outlive their parents. I don't say that to scare you, but at the same time, that scares me, which is, like I said, this topic is very near and dear to me because it needs to change. We need those numbers to reverse. And so, with that, I guess we will get rocking here. Before we do, I actually just want to do a sound test because the last workshop that we did, we had some technical audio difficulties. And by technical audio difficulties, I mean the owner of Healing Touch and the other chiropractor in our office, I'm pretty sure she just didn't have her speakers turned on. She probably did. But if you could throw up a comment so I know that you can hear me, I can do some tinkering if need be, make some adjustments, but let me know if you can hear me some way, shape, or form, and then we'll tally-ho on. Abs, can you hear me? Thumbs up. I'm going to take that to mean that we can, you can hear me. So, like I said, thanks, Ab. Like I said, we're going to be talking about why our kids are sick, why we are constantly battling the same stuff in and out. Because when we are looking at the effects, the signs, the symptoms, this lands us in the doctor's office, this lands us in clinic waiting rooms, battling the same stuff. What's going on? We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about, thank you everybody, we're going to be talking about what the medicines, what the surgeries, what the antibiotics are missing. And then I'm also going to give you some simple action steps that your family can take that aren't scary procedures, scary surgeries, that aren't medications that nobody knows how to pronounce the names of. So with that, There are two big players we're going to be talking about tonight: ear infections and allergies. There are two main causes when we look at those things, okay? It is poor sinus drainage, what we affectionately term poor plumbing, and then there is a misguided immune response. So let's first look at that poor plumbing, okay? You've probably heard the explanation that children get ear infections because their eustachian tubes are more horizontal. Therefore, the garbage and fluid can't drain. This is true in part. Kids do have more horizontal eustachian tubes. However, if that were the only cause, the only determining factor in ear infections and allergies, then wouldn't every kid have ear infections? Because all kids have those horizontal ear tubes. And if you're going to apply that same logic as a child grows up and their eustachian tubes angled more angled down, when those ear infections, those immune compromises, the allergies, the bunch of garbage, wouldn't that go away as the child aged? In theory, it would. That's not what we're seeing though. So there is a real issue with that sinus drainage, the poor plumbing as we like to call it. And it all stems in the fact when our ears cannot properly drain, that fluid becomes like a playground for viruses to frolic and multiply and divide and conquer, okay? That's the crazy thing about antibiotics given for ear infections, is that 80 to 85% of ear infections are caused by viruses. Antibiotics do nothing for those. Who knew, right? So, viruses have the playground for the fluid garbage that won't build in our ears. But why won't that stuff drain? If it's not the horizontal ear tubes, then what's going on? As chiropractors, we always want to know more. We always want to dig deeper. So that stuff, garbage, will not drain because of the jamming, I guess you would say, it would probably be the technical term. The tension and the tightness that we see in the cervical spine, aka the neck, and the structures around the eustachian tubes. The muscles, the joints, the bones, the nerves, all of it. So there is a really tiny little muscle in this area that is, it's called the tensor veli palatini muscle. The name, as I said before, isn't important. What that muscle does is, that muscle helps to actually milk fluid away from the ear canals so that it can drain properly. And this muscle gets its nerve supply from the very top of our spine, right in through here. And that muscle becomes irritated when the nerve that supplies it gets shorted. Think like an electrical shortage, what we chiropractors call a subluxation. But why does that muscle, why does the nerve, why do the bones, why do the joints, why do they get irritated? Why are they misaligned and tense and tight? Of course, we're gonna dig deeper. The most common cause that we see in our office, birth trauma. C-sections, vacuum assistance, forceps delivery assistance, Pitocin epidural, any physical strain, trauma, where we're using baby's head and neck to really yank and crank and twist and pull to get them out into the world. That physical stress and trauma is going to jam up the cervical spine, the neck, and lead to birth trauma. About 95% of the kiddos that walk through our doors that have ear infections, that have allergies, that have whatever immune concern that you name, falls into this birth camp. So I want you to start thinking of ear infections, allergies as a 3-step process. So the stuff that we can see, the irritation, the redness, the inflammation, most of the time, ooh, can you read this? Well, never mind my terrible writing. Inflammation and irritation. That stuff exists as a result. That is not something existing just by itself. That exists because of the infection. And the only reason that the infection exists is because there's an interference to our body's ability to drain. It is that poor plumbing. Ooh, Abby told me to be careful so I don't knock this dang thing down. Rumbling. Okay, poor plumbing. This is the area that needs to be fixed. This is the problem, and this is where chiropractic is different, where we look at the cause and not just the effect. So the traditional approach with ear infections and allergies, and the whole cascade really just comes out of the mouth so easy. We stop right here. We look at the inflammation, we look at the irritation, and we think, how do we fix it? And so in those terms, fix it means how do we stop it? How do we prevent it? And when it comes to ear infections, it's antibiotics, it's other medications, it's surgeries, the whole gamut of things. You have symptom X, so here is medication Y, and we're gonna do surgery Z. It is a very cookie cutter approach. And you wanna know the crazy thing? Most of the time, those meds, those surgeries, those procedures, they work. And they work quick. Because what they're doing is they're turning off the pathway that creates that pain to let us know that something is wrong. Really, that's no different than taking a piece of masking tape though and putting it over your check engine light. Just because that blinding light isn't glaring in your eyes doesn't mean that the light is off. And it definitely doesn't mean that the problem is taken care of. Let's look at another example. How about? So, something that's growing increasingly common, or that we're seeing more of in little ones, acid reflux. Yes, we have had kids walk in the door taking omeprazole. Omeprazole is a medicine that is supposed to stop the production of stomach acid. But omeprazole doesn't ever figure out why the baby is creating more stomach acid, and so therefore the problem isn't ever fixed. Not to mention not to mention the long-term effects on the kidneys that taking the medicines of that kind will have on our body. Chiropractic, I don't want to keep harping on this, but I'm going to keep harping on this. So, actually, this is by no means a medical, antibiotic, a surgery bashing talk. By all means, if I have meningitis or a really nasty infection, you had bet your bottom dollar that I will be taking some powerful, quick-acting medicine. But it is our experience in the office that the dramatic, long-lasting improvements in our health do not come from medications. They come from within, and that comes from lifestyle changes, all right? So we're going to actually do a little artsy time. So I want you to picture a happy little puppy. And if you caught the first rendition of this workshop, I apologize that I'm using this analogy again. I do really like it. I'm a little bit partial. So we have our happy little puppy. Happy little puppy. He's playing along, he's frolicking, happy as can be. If you're a troll fan, a big, hairy, ugly, angry Bergen comes along, steps on the dog's tail. If you are not a troll fan, a Bergen is really just a Shrek, but much, much unhappier. So, Bergen steps on the dog's tail, the dog starts barking. It's super annoying. From the standard approach, we have a couple different options. First off, we could put a shock collar on the dog. Dog will figure out in a hurry barking relates to pain. We could remove the dog's vocal cords. He won't be able to make any noise if his vocal cords can't slap together and create the noise, correct? Yeah. We could give the dog some medicine, snow him. You won't know if it's day or night, if it's up or down. He certainly won't be making any noise. How about option number 4? We could put the dog down. That would solve all of our problems. The dog wouldn't be in pain. We wouldn't hear the barking. That maybe isn't such a bad option. Chiropractors, a little bit different. We are, like I said, DC, doctors of cause, always going to dig deeper. We aren't satisfied with those options. We look at the dog barking as a result, not an effect. Meaning that the problem isn't the dog barking. The problem isn't that annoying high-pitched or low, if you have a big dog like Walter, barking. The problem is the big, hairy, ugly foot on the tail. So if you get rid of the foot on the tail, biggest pet peeve is when people dry erase with their fingers, and here I am doing it. Get rid of the foot on the tail, the dog will quit barking. Our health works just like that, people. So when we have allergies, asthma, constipation, tummy issues, headaches, whatever it might be, that's really our body's way of telling us that something is wrong and that a change needs to be made. Abby is going to be posting, we can't do it during the live video, but she's going to be posting at the end of it this really cool chart, and I'll just throw it up here so you at least get a little bit of an idea of what it is we're looking at. So it's titled The Effects of Subluxation, which we've been talking about, is that electrical shortage, that interruption between the brain and the body's communication. So this chart is really cool. What it does is on this left side here, it shows the nerves. In this middle column, it shows us what these nerves supply. Maybe I'll bring it in a little bit closer. There we go. Shows us what those nerves supply. In the very far column, we have signs, symptoms, bad stuff that we might see if the communication is blocked between the brain and this area of the body. Okay? The standard approach is to look at this last column that we have here on the right, the cough, the fever, the tummy issues, the constipation, the fatigue, the depression, whatever. How do we fix it? How do we stop it? How do we prevent it? Chiropractic is different. We want to go back to the cause because this is the effect if we're going to use our dog barking way of thinking, correct? Chiropractic goes back to see where the problem started. And that's where the magic happens. That's where the real correction lies. So after Abby gets this uploaded at the end, I want you to pull up that chart. I want you to go to the very right column. And I want you to just either write down or circle or check mark any like signs, symptoms, any of that bad stuff that your little ones experienced. It's really going to help tie it together for you. And oh wow, there's a lot more going on than I thought. So we've already talked about the mechanical problems of birth trauma, how it jams everything up in that neck so things can't properly drain. The second major cause of ear infections, of allergies, and also the other really cool thing is the piece that is addressed by chiropractic adjustments is that compromised immune system. And like I said, we're always going to dig deeper. Why isn't the immune system pulling its weight? Why isn't it doing what it needs to do? It's because of another really important structure that also lives in this area. So it's called your vagus nerve. Vagus nerve has a huge role in making sure that we're keeping inflammation in the immune system down. Vagus nerve also has a huge role in making sure that the lymphatic system, the respiratory, the digestive, all those tracts that we use to expel gunk, that they are relaxed and open. So when we take in like a pathogen or something harmful or foreign through ears, eyes, nose, mouth, throat, the like, our body recognizes it as harmful, as foreign, and it wants to get it out. So we're going to use that muscle that we talked about earlier, and to help milk it away from the ear canals to get it down. So the lymphatic system is going to either push it into our digestive system so we can expel it, or get it into our respiratory system so we can cough it up or snot it out. As nasty as that sounds. That's why when we are sick, our lymph nodes get swollen, they get inflamed, because our body, our immune system is actively working, trying to get that garbage out. So at this point in the game, you might be wondering, she's been talking about ear infections and allergies. I came here for the ADHD talk, the tummy issues, the sleeping at night. Here's the crazy thing. It is all connected, my friends. So we are going to do more artsy-fartsy time. And we're going to start out with that birth trauma that leads to the jamming of the structures around the eustachian tube. So when we have that C-section, when we have like the forceps assistance, the vacuum assistance, we're going to have that tension, that tightness, that misalignment. The problems start way up here, the very top of the spine. It's not going to be very comfortable for baby. Would you imagine? No, definitely not. So baby is going to start crying. Baby is going to end up with a diagnosis of colic. Also, because of the tension, the tightness, the misalignment, stuff not draining, we end up with ear infections. And we've already talked about this, but the common treatment for ear infections is antibiotics. The antibiotics are going to destroy the lining of our gut. They're also going to disrupt the balance between the good bacteria and the bad bacteria. So now we've got problems pooping, most of the time in the form of constipation. Ooh. That never gets addressed, and so it translates into sensitivities to foods, dust, pollens, molds, things like that. And not only is it just sensitivities, if we let it go long enough, it turns into a full-blown allergy. And then the last progression, I don't want to say the icing on the cake, because this is in no means a complete full cascade here. If the allergies, the sensitivities, the constipation, the ear infections, if all that isn't addressed, the body is in crazy, wired hot, fight or flight. It is white noise galore, and body is, honestly, it's getting a lot of chaos in, which relates to chaos out. That's where we see the autism, that's where we see the ADHD. So you can see how when we are talking about allergies and ear infections, we're actually talking about so much more. So in addition to talking about why our kids are getting sick, we also talked about why the medicines, why the surgeries, why the procedures, why they don't work. Because they don't actually get to the root of the problem. They look at the superficial signs and symptoms that we see and put the masking tape over the check engine light. So at this point in the game, if you are like still not enticed that chiropractic care should be at the foundation of your family's healthcare, I have a couple stories to share with you. So at the beginning of the school year, we had a 9-year-old boy start care with us. And in a matter of, I think it was 2 years, he had 15 plus ear infections. It was to the point he didn't even know when he had them anymore because they were so common. Mom knew because his hearing was affected, and so she would take him in. In addition to the ear infections, he had severe seasonal allergies. He was having night terrors, was taking, I think, like 4 medications a day. Sat down with mom and son last week, and this is the first year that he has not, to this point, had a sick day. This is also the longest period of time that he has ever went without a sick day, like 5-6 months. Sleeping better at night. He had quit taking one of his medications. Mom was so excited, she decided she wants to get checked. She wants to see how chiropractic can help her. Another story for you, another 9-year-old boy who started care with us April of last year. So he came in with grandparents. Primary concerns were behaviors, aggressiveness, inability to focus. I also had a history of ear infections. He had tubes when he was younger. Tummy was a complete mess. Lots of constipation, lots of pain, sinus congestion, wasn't sleeping at night. Overall, just a really unhealthy, really unhappy little boy. Earlier this fall, at one of his progress checks, hey, Dr. T, Grandpa shared with us that he had spoken with his teachers. Teachers had no longer had any concerns about ADHD. Little boy off of the medications, and it was actually really cool. Grandpa said that he had been laughing a lot more, which he had forgotten what his laugh sounded like because humor, jokes, sarcasm was all lost on him, and that had changed since starting chiropractic care, which was really cool to hear. So Abby is going to be posting a link for you. I would highly encourage you to follow the link. Put in your email. It is a free resource. So what it is a little quiz that's going to help you learn how to evaluate the health of your kiddos. It's going to ask you about how they eat, drink, think, sleep, poop, move. I should have came up with a rap. I wasn't thinking. Next time I will. But please follow that link. Put in your email. It's a free resource for you, and it's got some really helpful information. So if you caught this video and you have been looking for answers and you are just fed up with what you have been doing, or you're ready to try something new, we are here to help you. We've got new patient times available, and really we're just excited to connect. Our whole mission at Healing Touch is we want to change lives. We want to help you. We want to help your kiddos heal from the inside out. So if your family is ready to break the cycle of sickness and we're ready to instead get the ball rolling into a cycle of health, hook us up. We have a phone number. That's what I was going to say. Of course we have a phone number, 701-893-3150. Or by all means, shoot us a message on here. We are very responsive. We would love the opportunity to help you, to help your family. Let's chat soon.